Hey Harvest Kids, it's Kathy here. I hope you're having a great Sunday. So today I have a group of helpers to talk to you about the Apostle Paul. That's the story we're learning today, and they have some things to share that they love about the Apostle Paul. So take it away.
Hey, I'm Joseph. My favorite thing about the Apostle Paul is how he included everyone. He really taught a lot of the Gentiles, which weren't as included at the time, and so I just love that he included everybody.
Hey everybody, it's Olive. My favorite thing about Paul is that he was obedient to God's leading, and he changed the whole entire world because he listened to where and what God called him to do.
Hey guys, it's Will here. What I love about the Apostle Paul is that he spoke boldly every single place that he went to. No matter whether that place was scary or the situation was tough, he spoke boldly about what God wanted him to share.
Hey everybody, it's Kendall. One of my favorite things about the Apostle Paul is that he was a really good encourager. We know he cared for all the people that he interacted with, especially the ones that he sent letters to, which we see in the New Testament.
Hey guys, it's Drew. My favorite part about reading about Paul is kind of learning about his transformation from Saul to Paul. I think it's really cool, and it just shows that God can use anybody.
Hey guys, Silas here. My favorite part about Paul is the way that he didn't fear and he kept his faith when he was in a scary situation, like when he was in prison.
A lot of great stuff about Paul, so watch this video and you can learn even more. Have a great day.
After Jesus ascended to heaven, Christianity swept across the land, and many believed. Jesus' disciples and all who trusted in him were filled with the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues, performing miracles, and preaching to thousands of people. One such apostle was named Paul. He took God's message to the Gentiles. Paul began traveling to areas far away to preach about Jesus. One of the cities he visited was called Lystra. There he and his friend Barnabas began to preach to the people, telling them that Jesus was the promised one who could save them from their sins. Paul performed many signs and wonders, and people were amazed. Those that were sick came from all over to be healed. Paul wasn't preaching any ordinary message. He was a messenger from God. Thousands of people listened to God's message and turned to Jesus. The religious leaders were not happy about this. They stirred up the people and made up lies about Paul and Barnabas. One day, the people were so furious that they dragged Paul away and started to stone him. Like Stephen was stoned, they wanted to kill Paul too. They thought that they had killed Paul, so they dragged him outside the city. But that was not the end. God's power came over Paul, and he stood up and went right back to preaching in the town. The people were amazed. On another journey, Paul and his friend Silas were put into jail for preaching. That night, as they sat chained in a jail cell, they decided to start singing and praying. Then something strange happened. An earthquake started to shake the prison. The prisoners' chains fell off, and the jail door opened. Everyone could escape, but no one did. Then Paul told him that all the prisoners were still there. The jailer was relieved. He invited Paul to come to his house to preach the good news. That night at the jailer's house, Paul and Silas told them about Jesus, and the jailer and his entire household believed and were baptized. Paul went on many more missionary journeys to bring the gospel of Jesus to as many people as he could. One time he was headed to Rome, but had to journey by sea. As they were drifting on the water, a violent storm erupted and forced their ship into the rocks. Paul and everyone else nearly drowned. They were in the water for a long time, but the current eventually swept them to shore. There they were, stranded on a little island, but everyone was unharmed. Paul was right. No one had died. Even on this remote island, shivering in the cold and recovering from shipwreck, Paul preached the gospel and healed the sick. Many came to believe in Jesus. Paul was unstoppable. With God's power, he kept preaching and planting churches. He was beaten, stoned, whipped, imprisoned, starved, punished, robbed, falsely accused, and suffered greatly. But he kept going. Paul was more than just a missionary, traveler, preacher, and healer. He also wrote long letters. The many letters that Paul wrote to the churches he planted have been preserved for us in the Bible. These letters are inspired, and they teach us about Jesus and about how to live as Christians. God used Paul to spread the good news to many countries.